Welcome to another episode of Breaking Into Cybersecurity, where we share these stories of individuals who have broken into cybersecurity within the past 5 years. If you're joining us on LinkedIn, you will find Kim Kennedy's profile. Kim is joining us today to share about her journey and all the amazing things that she's done. For those of you joining us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button. And then for those of you joining us on Twitch, comment, follow us, join us. Love to share with others. And now on to the star of the show. So Kim, tell us a little bit about your background and where you were before cybersecurity.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris, for having me on. It's been a long journey and it's not over. So my original background is actually in accounting and HR. I was in it for years because as a woman, I kind of just fell into that trap of, hey, I get an office job, and I knew I didn't want to work in a bar or restaurant when I was 80. So I decided to get an office job when I was about 18, and I continued to work in offices and do other stuff because it was accounting can get kind of boring. And so I also like to work with smaller companies because accounting is boring. I got to learn a lot of different skills when you work with smaller companies. And so for a long time, I was in construction accounting. And so I've, read blueprints and OSHA certified and drive forklifts and all kinds of crazy things.
Wow.
And I was laid off back in 2008 and 2009 or 10 back then. And it was the first time I went back to school and finished my AA in accounting. The second time I went to Costa Rica and started learning Spanish because, again, I'm in construction. I was in Florida at the time. So I thought, that's a useful thing for my resume. And I just kept going, man, something's missing. And I finally switched over to an MSP. Oh gosh, I should know this. I want to say it was like around 2015. And that's what really solidified the fact that I loved technology. I have always loved technology, but I was in the wrong, I was doing construction accounting, which was fun in its own kind of unique way, but being laid off so many times back in the big depression. And unfortunately, it looks like, we might be going through that again very soon or is happening currently. I hope it's not nearly as bad as it was back then. But I loved the MSP, but there wasn't a technical position for me to really go into. And I've always been told, like you're not part of the money-making business unit. And so although I find that weird, I think a company should think holistically. If one person doesn't show up for an accounting job, you don't get billing done. If the salespeople don't sell, yes, you don't get money. But if I don't collect it, and so again, it's just kind of how we look at businesses as a whole. And I really think that's kind of what's wrong with part of a lot of companies is we don't look at it as a whole. If your engineers aren't doing their job, if, anybody stops doing their job, your business falls apart. So yes, we're all part of a money-making business unit. And however, that being said, because I always held second jobs a lot on the side. So I've been a chef, a personal trainer, just all kinds of weird things on the side just to keep my brain going. And so at the MSP, I loved doing a lot of the things that I was doing, and it just really kind of drove me. I wanted to be on the technology side. I wanted to be more involved and kind of learn more. So I went into sales. So if you guys want to know how to fail and keep going, just do what I do, just keep going. I went into sales. I finally thought I landed the ideal gig of sales ever. And I was at Attack IQ October of 2019. So I know you guys probably heard about 2020. So 2020 happened, and it was a rough year. So over the course of about a year and a half, I ended up leaving, and I wasn't sure that sales was for me. And again, everything could have been totally different had 2020 not happened, right? So, but 2020 kind of took us all by surprise. And Then I went into a channel sales, and I had the most amazing woman, Tina Gravel, kind of talked me into trying channel. And I said, I don't know if I really like sales. And about 5 months later, I said, I got to go. I don't like sales. I love people, but this is just not what I want to do. I want to be more technical. I love learning. And I learned, by the way, you do learn a lot in sales. It really helps with the acronym soup, getting to know different positions that companies do. It is a good way to break into cybersecurity. If you are unsure, you think you can try it, try. That's my biggest thing, is that you don't know until you try, right? So and also during this time back in 2019, I became part of the haunted hacker community with Mike Jones. And that's actually, Chris, I think where I met you originally was back in the day on an interview that he did with you. And so that was pretty awesome. And he's a great, mentor and friend. And it's, through working with him with all of that, it's just been really, really amazing. And it built a bigger network, right? And so obviously being in sales, I built a network because that's part of what sales does. And then through the haunted hacker community, I really got to know a lot of people. And then currently I'm working with Mike Jones at Ideal Integrations, and they're absolutely amazing. Well, it's Blue Bastion, which is like their cybersecurity side. And he's been a great mentor and stuff, and everything, the people there are just absolutely amazing. And then I also started a nonprofit that's kind of, I was telling you about before the show, that is basically an umbrella. I want to support all of the nonprofits that are doing great work to help people break into cyber. So I support Blacks in Cybersecurity. I'm part of the board here in Colorado for Women in Cybersecurity. I do work with Right ISIS, Cyber Org, the Black Girls Hack. I support all of Women in Cyber Jiu-Jitsu. And if you're doing great work, I want to support you under my nonprofit called the Empire of We. Like I said, it's an umbrella that supports everyone trying to do what we're doing.
Well, share the link for that. That way, our audience members will be able to view that. I know with regards to supporting nonprofits, I support one as well here, supporting the whole Cyberhuman initiative, where we help provide individuals with a guided path into cyber. So supporting nonprofits is definitely something that I support as well. So tell us, you joined Attack IQ. I'm guessing, was that your first venture into tech and cyber?
With cyber, yes. Yeah. I did a little stint over at PAX 8, which is another great company. Matt Lee's currently there. They're here locally in Denver, and they're a great company, huge sales org. It just, I got sick a lot. There was 300 people in a shared kitchen, and it just wasn't the best fit. And so I decided I'm not going to stay somewhere where it wasn't. Again, that was my beginning. That should have been my sign. I didn't like sales. So, but at the same time, they're a great org. They really do promote from within and do stuff, but they're not quite cyber focused. And so Attack IQ was my first one. And so they do breach and attack simulation using the MITRE ATT&CK framework. So I got to learn a lot about MITRE ATT&CK frameworks, and like I said, all of the acronym soups that come with becoming in cyber, which has helped me out on the other side of things.
So yeah, tell us about what did you have to do to go from no cyber experience to being able to talk the alphabet soup of abbreviations of attack simulation and the haunted hacker community that you joined. Like, how did you learn cyber, and share that with the audience for other sales folks that might be going through your journey as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Most of it, the biggest thing is listening, right? So if somebody is willing to talk and listen, talk to you, listen. I talk to a lot of engineers, and that's also why I kind of wanted to switch, because I really like that community. And so I was building a network on LinkedIn. I was reading a lot of information. Obviously, we had training at Attack IQ that really helped out with that as well. But people will tell you if you're wrong. And this has become a very collaborative community of sharing. And it used to not be as much because everybody still thinks about hackers as like the hoodie in the dark basement and right. And so, the biggest thing is I just paid attention and I just, I learned as I went. If I was wrong, I would admit it. And so it's more of like when you're talking to somebody, trying to really understand where they're coming from, why it's important, why I annoyed you when I called, or there's a whole lot of things, but listening is something that I try to do when somebody's talking to me. It's usually pretty preferred.
You mentioned as a salesperson that like building a network was something that you had to do. And for folks that are breaking into cybersecurity, we always highly recommend that. So
Mhm.
what's your approach in researching and then reaching out to the right people at the right time?
The biggest thing is, doing research. OSINT, right? So you kind of check and verify. Obviously, we've run into a lot of things where numbers are wrong or they're personal cell phones, and people really hate when you call personal cell phones. I don't blame them. So, kind of just doing a little bit of OSINT, making sure that you're really paying attention. Again, doing, going to different activities. So either locally through meetups here. I just got back to Denver at the beginning of this year because I had gone to San Diego. I was in Las Vegas. I kind of kept going like just the same route up through from California back to Colorado. And so, joining different groups, watching different LinkedIn live things and making and supporting people. A big part of this is supporting people. And again, volunteer work is really important to me, at least. And I think it's important for everyone to be able to get into those programs and talk to these people that are doing great work. So you can find mentorship. That's one of the reasons I joined Women in Cybersecurity, WISIS, WESIS, however you want to call it. But
Mhm.
they're a great organization. And finding mentorship, and you can connect with people that are going through that same journey with you. And so that's also another reason I started the Empire of We is I wish I had had those resources when I was much younger. I wish I would have known about this community when I was much younger, that I was going to be accepted, because this has always been a boys club for a very, very long time.
Mhm.
And that's what we need to change. We need to change the diversity in all different types of ways, not just gender, but and mindset. It's a mindset thing. And I think that if you want to be in this community, you can do it. I was scared, honestly. I mean, even before I switched sales, I went to RSA, Black Hats. I looked at the vendors. I did a lot of research,
Mhm.
watched a lot of demos. I wanted to work at a place that I liked the product and knew I was going to make an impact as well. So, those are other things that you can do. But a big part is just joining organizations that you can find on LinkedIn through other people. So, um, I guess that's the answer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We have some viewers just shouting out
Mhm.
hello.
Hi,
Hello.
everybody.
Hey, how you doing? Feel free to send in your questions. If you
Yeah.
have any questions in the chat. As you can see, Kim's continuously learning and sharing different ways that she has learned in her adventure. When it comes to being more inclusive, what are some of the ways that you've shared in the communities that you've joined or you've noticed that they've done to be more inclusive that the rest of us could follow?
The biggest thing is just asking, right? So finding those organizations that, like I mentioned, Blacks in Cybersecurity. The Haunted Hacker has done a great job of like interviewing and bringing people in. So we brought in Blacks in Cyber, Black Girls Hack, and just having and sharing their story and how they're helping the community and getting those people connected to the right people. It's a really interesting time because, as we all know, there's this whole thing of you've got to have 5+ years and an entry level. You have to have a degree. This was a community built by people without degrees. There wasn't a degree in it. And how do we change that? By doing those things too, it makes it less inclusive. You can't tell somebody who has no money to go get a degree, but if they can build a box and they can hack it, maybe you should give them a shot, right?
Yeah.
And we've got to change different ways of how we look at stuff. You know, back when paper resumes were a thing, you know, going in, handing them in, faxing them in or whatever, and you'd go in for the interview, you know, there's always going to be some type of bias, right? But now with HRIS systems, which are the, you know, electronic, you know, work days and stuff like that, there's a lot of algorithms built in, and learning how to hack those is helpful. And so one of the biggest things is just finding a different way to test for what you're actually hiring for. And because I used to work in HR, please stop yelling at HR people. They don't have, they're just, hey, we're hiring for this. Here's what our requirements. They don't know. So they're just, and if they're not given those parameters, so talk to your HR people, tell them what you're looking for. You know, there was a excellent recruiter that worked with the MSP that I was at here. And she actually would come in and say, what are you hiring for? And she would create testing based on those. So you would find the resume, you would bring them in and go, okay, well, we're hiring for this position. These are some of the things that you are going to be doing in this position. And this is how we're going to hire you. If you do well, because some people can do well on paper, but they can't actually produce anything. So, you know, changing the way we hire is a big part of that. And also allowing internships. And I would really love to see more like apprenticeship programs from colleges through to businesses. And that's a big part of it.
What can we do to do that? What are some of the ways that you've seen that has worked for creating apprenticeships? Because they're different than internships.
Correct. And so it's you know, we have to talk as a community from the C-suite all the way down. It's about communication. How do we make this work? If you're always looking for a unicorn, you're never going to get it. So my saying is, you know, hire someone, train them, and give them a bullhorn. That is your unicorn. I would rather if you're paid less, let's say you're going to hire a senior software, you know, cyber engineer for $110,000. Why don't you bring someone in that maybe is mid-level or less at, you know, thousands of dollars less, right? You know, let's say 100. If it's, let's go with 130 and we'll do it to like 100. I know these are all just made up, you know, kind of parameters, but, you know, bring in somebody a little bit less experienced and let them get to that senior level, or continue to go further down, hire 5 people at a much lesser rate. I know the big thing is they're not getting the funding that they need in cyber. We're starting to, because all of these things are happening. You know, the problem is if we're not hiring people that want to get into this industry, there's a good chance they could go onto the wrong side, and we don't want them there. So how do we prevent future attacks? We help people make money and have a good life, no matter what their educational background is. If they're try to get them in, figure out a way, give them a different position. I don't know. Those are some of my thoughts, but again, it's not a huge program right now. So as a community, we need to talk about it. How do we get more apprenticeships in? Work with schools. We have University of Colorado here. Colorado Springs was at our last CISO event for the Women in Cybersecurity. And they were talking about the apprenticeship programs. Like, we're not going to let you just take one of our students and leave you with them. We'll help you with that apprenticeship. They're not coming in without mentorship and other things like that. Create mentorship programs. That's another one internally.
Yeah, those are great examples. And I think sometimes if a company doesn't have an apprenticeship program or doesn't have an internship program, don't be afraid to ask if they could create
Right.
one. Because it could be that they've never had the time, they've never had the idea to create it, and you could be the one to help them set up that structure and then
Great point.
potentially help more interns in the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The biggest, I mean, we have to work together. At no point, again, it goes back to money making business units and all this. It's, again, we need to think more holistically, like a community that we are, and we're trying. How do we get that message further up? And it's finally starting to happen, but I would rather it not be happening because people are getting hacked and losing money and privacy and all kinds of different things. Obviously, since 2020, we've had a uptick in attacks. We've had, all kinds of things. The world is kind of in a weird place right now. And it's 2022, TOO. We are continuing that mindset. And it's good to see that the governments are finally kind of going, hey, but we also we have as a community a right to make sure we're informing people that aren't in our community what's really going on. Talking about privacy and why it's important, because we don't need to think about us right now, which is what a lot of us do. It doesn't matter till we get hacked, and it doesn't matter. I'm not doing anything wrong. We have to think about the future generations. And it's, opening that communication and how are we working, and it's going to be slow, kind of like a lot of things, but it's good to see that we're kind of taking some steps in the right direction.
And for those that want to help nonprofits like you're doing, what are some of the best ways that they could do that?
Go to their websites. I will send out some links for all of the different organizations. Meetup.com, get involved in your local community. Meetup.com has a lot of different resources. Here in Denver, there is a hacker house called DenHack that you can sign up and go to. There's OWASP meetings in a lot of different cities. If there's not one, find out how you can create one. Be part of the solution. And when you make a commitment, commit to it. So, and remember, this is not about us. It's not about you or me. It's about we. And that's where the empire of we kind of came from too. We have to think about how we can help our community. If it's not being done and it's something you want to see, do it.
Yeah.
Find a way, find a mentor, find somebody. I love connecting people. I love it. It's like, that's what brings me joy, is when I can connect two people, and those two people can either be a mentor, a mentee, or they find a group where they finally feel involved with. So join these different groups. Again, I'll send out some links. I'll try to get all of those. It's kind of hard to do both right now at the same time. So I'll probably do that after this show, everyone. My nonprofit hasn't done the website yet, only because I was telling Chris I had a snafu hiring a group to set up my nonprofit correctly. So we'll I'll get that more rolling. I'm also in current process of building out my prison bus, which will be taken around the country once I get it built out. It's going to be a mobile off-grid cyber range, because this is also a community of creativity, and that's what people forget. And that's another thing we need to stop talking about, freaking money, people. Like, you have to be here because you love breaking things and making things. It is a community of creativity. It is not a criminal organization. It's people that are looking out for people that don't understand this. We are protectors. We are cyber heroes. There's all kinds of things, that we call ourselves. We love it, because again, we're creative. We like our capes and things, not just our hoodies.
And for those that, for example, you're looking for experience, you might not have the experience. You mentioned like how you reached out to charities and small businesses. What other ways do you see that individuals can gain experience in those ways?
So there are a lot of free and low cost resources that are online. They're everywhere. My biggest concern right now is that going back to, if we have too many people that can't get into the industry and some malicious group is trying to, get a teenager to, hey, I'll give you this if you can do X, Y, or Z. If they're not making money and a living, they're going to go to the wrong side. So we want to make sure that they're getting the free and low cost resources that never existed before, like YouTube. So there are, tons of free YouTube videos to watch. A lot of these nonprofits and local groups can help you if you can't afford to get a computer and different things. They might be able to help you with computers, getting you certification, like exemption forms. Obviously, certifications are big. There's a lot of free ones. Microsoft has a lot of free ones. A lot of the bigger companies like Google and Microsoft have these free certification programs. I currently am, I'm enrolled in SANS, and I'm just starting my journey to finish my bachelor's. I never finished it in accounting because I knew how to do accounting. Why would I go get a freaking degree in it? That's silly. And I knew it wasn't like what I was really passionate about. So ironically, though, I love learning, so I just kept taking courses, and you have to have 70 credits in order to finish your bachelor's with them. And it's cheaper than actually going to get all the certifications as well. So if you have some money, you can do programs like that. They have a great, like, I forgot what it's called, but you can pay later, but it's only for a small percentage of people. I hate people going into debt. I do not go into debt for school. I think that's ridiculous. The expectations. There's too many people that have all kinds of degrees and never worked once in it. I went into accounting and started taking accounting degree, towards my accounting degree. All of my electives, by the way, were like biology, chemistry. People thought I was crazy. And I'm like, but I love sciences, so do what makes you happy. And, hopefully we can get away from this whole, like, you have to have a degree thing soon, because it's really ridiculous, because too many people never go for what they actually take school for. I mean, who knows what they want to do at 18? I'm sorry, like, not many. I mean, personally, not many people do.
I'm 35 and I barely know what I want to
do. I'm going to probably keep failing, and it's okay, because that's how you learn what you like to do. Like, you don't know until you do it. There's a whole different thing. School does not teach you how to be in a workplace. School does not teach you management skills too much. I mean, it does. I mean, if you're really involved in like leadership programs at your school and different things, but go online, look up, there's Gerald Auger, Jax, Mike, you guys, oh gosh, so many different people in our community are just amazing. I actually, if you go onto my LinkedIn page, I pinned it into one of my stories, because it's like, I introduced people that you found in the community. I talk about it to everyone. I was talking to someone locally here about sewing something for me, like a tailor, and they were talking about a friend who took a boot camp. That's another option if you have some money. But they were taking a boot camp for coding, and they're trying to get out of the restaurant industry. And I said, hey, I can help them if they're having problems. Let me see if I can get them started with connecting people and trying to get them work. Because again, if you're dedicated to it, let's get you hired.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I love about you is your passion for continuously experimenting and finding new ways. Wow, I can't believe the time already. We've
Yeah.
already went through our half hour. We're gonna have to call you back, Kim, and talk some more. But
Well,
thank you
hopefully
all
next
for
time I'll have more on my prison bus coming up. Maybe I can do a live stream from there.
yeah. There you go. For those of you joining us on LinkedIn, Kim's profile is below. Follow her, follow me, follow the podcast. For those of you joining us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button down below, hit the notification button, and we'll pop up the next time. And for those of you on Twitch or other platforms, just follow us, share us. We really need the sharing aspect so that we can have more people in this industry,
Yep.
like Kim.
That's a big point.
Yes, exactly.
Share.
More people, different backgrounds, have that diversity come in. We really need that the problem solving like Kim has from all her experiences. So share away and come join us next week for another edition of Breaking Into Cybersecurity. Thank you so much, Kim.
Thank you.